All right. Coach, if you could just open up with a quick statement about tonight's game.
Well, I think spring games as a general rule are just to kind of let the guys have some fun at the end of spring practice. And we had, pretty grueling spring practice. Game tonight, we were missing a lot of guys on both offense and defense. I think we had 4 starting offensive linemen out. And it really probably didn't affect the first team offense as much as it did the second team offense, because when you had to take all those guys from the second team and put them on the first team, then it made the second team offensive line. And then on defense, we played the whole spring without, our 2 safeties, and we had Des Branch was out. His brother was getting married tonight in New Mexico, and I told him back that Dave had been sick, so I told him he could do that. And then Taquan showed up to the training room this morning with strep throat, so we didn't want him around the team. So, but all in all, I think it was a successful game. I don't think anybody got hurt seriously. Jamal Camp may have sprained his knee a little bit, but it's not serious, I don't think.
Clinton Lynch seemed like he ran pretty hard tonight.
Clinton's back healthy again. Yeah, it's good to see he made some plays, and it's good to see him back out there doing some things. For the most part, I thought Jahazel, that was his second day at center. So when Kenny went down last week, we moved Jahazel, so he's only been there a couple of days.
What did you think of? It seemed like the quarterbacks was maybe some underthrows and weren't real comfortable, maybe in the pocket at times.
I thought Lucas threw the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
You'd have been uncomfortable too if you was playing behind that white group.
We continue to give Jahazel some snaps at center moving forward.
Yeah, we've got to mix and match those guys, and Andrew Marshall would be also a center, but he was out in the spring as well. So we'll continue to work Jahazel there, and then we get Kenny back and Andrew back, and we'll sort it out and try to get the best 5 out there at some position.
Would you expect Kenny back by the time camp starts, or that?
It'll be close. You never know. It'll be close. They said 3 months, so if it's 3 months, he'll be back. If it's a little longer, he won't. So we'll see.
Sort of saw the upside and the downside of the 2-hand touch with the quarterbacks at times.
It's hard for both. I
mean,
it's really frustrating. The guy who I think it really affects more than anybody else, well, Taquan when he plays,
sure,
but it really affects Tobias, because that's his kind of niche. I mean, he's quick and he's a runner, and a lot of times he's doing what you'd ask him to do, and the guy tags him because he's taking the weak shoulder and getting downhill. But at the same time, they got to go through spring without getting hit, so it's a trade-off for both sides. But it's just, it's the way we needed to play to make sure that we had him out there for practice.
It seemed like Jerry ran pretty hard today.
Yeah, I thought Jerry did some good things. He,
without a lot of space to work with at times.
Right. I know what you always say about if the defense is doing well, you're not sure what it says about the offense. But it was remarkable to me that there were a lot of guys getting penetration, beating guys off the snap and getting in the back room, causing havoc. I
think that's what we're looking for, some negative plays and some things that they popped the linebackers a lot, and about the first 3 series, we weren't running any plays that would hurt that either. So once they started going outside, and it's a little different. But that's the way the defense is set up to create some negative plays.
Talking about the linebackers, can you talk a little bit about just the development of a guy like Jaquan Henderson? I know last year he got in some good play. You're high on.
I think Jaquan's a really good athlete, and last year he was just overwhelmed. He, trying to figure out all the different schemes and all the different stuff. And one of the neat things about what we're doing now is it's really simple, and those guys you can get your guys that can run out there and the athletes, and they can just play. And I think Jaquan could be really good rushing the passer and using his speed and doing that kind of thing. So I'm anxious to see him play.
It seemed like Brad had a good scrimmage today. Brad Stewart. He was wide open several times, and
Yeah.
Lucas did a good job of getting the ball to
Yeah,
him.
I thought that he made some plays.
Jaquez showed that quickness you've been talking about all camp. He really shot the gap a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaquez has a chance to be a good player. Honestly, I don't know that he played, just standing behind the huddle. I don't think he played as well tonight as he's played in scrimmages, but he's a good player. He's gonna play good levels.
Jordan Ponchez Mason obviously had that one miscue, but it was nice to get him. He got a chance to punch it in there before the scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, he's a talented kid. He's missed so much practice that it hurt him. He's one of the guys who really needed to practice. And, Devontae, there was no reason to play him a lot. I don't even know how many times he carried the ball. 7 times.
Presley probably kicked maybe more than he wanted, but he did a really nice job. He got some nice hang time, and seemed like he's in good shape for the season.
Yeah, well, one team had 5 punts, another team had 7. Yeah, it's about a game, right?
Right, but I think he kicked the ball really well. I thought he had some good hang time.
Yeah, Presley's a good player.
It'd be nice to see Brenton connect on all his kicks and then get the long
Brenton
field
had
goal.
a good scrimmage. That's good. It's good for his confidence, and it's nice. The field goal he made was 40-yarder. It was good.
Anything else for Coach?
What most did you learn about your team tonight, Coach?
Tonight?
Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, is there anything that you can build on from based on tonight?
I think the best thing we learned was this spring. I think that we have a pretty good idea about some 2 deep, and when we start back in the fall, we'll have a much better idea of who you work with. Spring practice is so different because, everybody's getting reps and everybody's playing, and quite honestly, there were guys probably out there tonight that played a whole game that when we come to fall camp, we'll be on the scout team and won't get any reps. But that's the neat thing for them. It's fun for them,
Did you like the crowd, and the weather was lovely? And
Yeah, I thought we had a good crowd. I mean, yeah, it was nice.
Going back to Jerry Howard, it's obvious that he can run the ball. Has he done the other things you're looking for?
Jerry's going to play. He's a good player. I feel good about that position with he and Devontae, and Jordan, when he gets some reps, is a good athlete, and then we got a couple guys coming in, so we've got some pretty good depth there, I think.
Anything else?
How do you feel about nose tackle right now? How they perform there?
I think that Kyle Henderson has had a good spring. We got to get more out of Brandon Adams. And Chris Martin's had a good spring. Those guys would probably be the 3 nose tackles, going into camp. But I think Kyle's done some good things, and Brandon's got a building. And Chris has done some things this spring.
Any big plans this offseason now that spring's over?
Not really. I mean, same old, same old. I've still got about 50 guys to meet with. Not that many left, maybe now 40. On Monday, I always meet with each player after spring and talk to them, and we'll knock that out on Monday and give them a little bit of time off, and you're right back into it. You're always into recruiting guys on the road on Monday.
how much practice are you going to get in before the Chick-fil-A with your sticks?
Oh, I
You
don't know. I'll probably hit a ball or 2.
Anything else?
There's a lot of, it seems like, young guys on defense that have, I mean, not just tonight, but just from what we've heard, that show like they have a lot of potential to make plays in this defense.
I think so. I think that there's some of the freshmen that were kind of tweeners when you recruit them. You've got Tariq, you've got Caleb Oliver, Avery Showell, Gentry Bonds. They're kind of cross outside linebacker, safety type guys. And Jaquan, I think this is a good fit for him. I think Vic's going to be better outside. Inside, David Curry was having a really good spring and he got hurt. So there's some guys. I think we have some guys that can run. So, you know.
After the game, you know, you told the team you can be a pretty good football team. Just how good do you think this team can be next fall?
Well, a lot of it depends on how hard they work, keeping everybody healthy, and we got to get better. Certainly we got to get better than, you know, once we hit fall camp. But I think there's enough athletes there and enough players when we get everybody back out there. I think if you had everybody playing on both sides, it would have looked a little bit different. But, you know, you've got a good nucleus back. I mean, we got 9 starters coming back on offense. Defensively, if we can create some negative plays and get some sacks and, you know, get off the field, who knows? We'll see.
Do you feel more encouraged right now, or compared to last year at this point, do you feel more encouraged about going forward?
2 up or 2 down in the spring.
Sure. Or I guess about the ceiling of your team, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Ask me after 3 games. I'll have a pretty good idea.
One more.
Say overall as a spring, how would you rate it?
Oh, we got some things done. I mean, I thought that for the most part, we kept guys out there. And we lost them. Really, when we started losing guys was last week. So Kenny is the only guy I can think of that I would term a serious injury in the spring. And I say that about him just because he had to have surgery. But which is good, and we got a lot of work in. I mean, we got a lot of playing and, you know, evaluating and those kind of things. So I think it was a good spring. I think our quarterbacks I think DeQuan got better. You know, and like I said, it's hard on the defense when they're in goal like that. With our offense, it's not like a pro-style offense where you can put them back there in goal and they're handing off. A big part of what we do, they're running the ball. And, you know, guys would play both. They'd play them in the pitch because they're tagging. And sometimes you get on the weak shoulder and you'd be running right by them if they had to tackle you, but they could reach out. So you just hope that you don't get in bad habits on offense and defense doing that.
Regarding the defense, how does it fit this team?
Do what?
How does the defense fit this team with the players that you have?
Well, I think the defense is a good fit for Georgia Tech and the players we can get here. Yeah.